The quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we are being.
Welcome, champion, to another episode of Champion Reads, as John is doing something in his corner. We are the podcast in which we talk about best-selling books and their best principles to help you out with your best life. I'm one of your co-hosts, Willie Blake. My other co-host, Mr. Ian Sturmer, is with us as well. And our guest that, man, I don't even think we can call you a guest because you're here every week, the founder of Champion Circle, Mr. John Kovacs Jr.
And I stole the top corner somehow.
Because you're the founder. You're the special.
I am jealous.
Oh, I love it.
Deeply offended.
Offensive maximum. Champion Circle is who we are. We are a business that brings together professionals, small business owners, and entrepreneurs who are wanting to achieve a goal in 90 days to be able to give you the tactics, the strategies, as well as the community to be able to do so. So if you're interested in that and that piques your curiosity, go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, and you'll be able to find that there. But let's jump into what we're talking about this week because we're in a new month, new book. We are going into the book. I was like supernatural. Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And if you're watching video, look over on John's screen because he has the paper copy. Because he has the money to do that. I have to deal with the Audible version. I'm joking. I'm excited about this because there's in the green room before we're talking. There's so many different ways you can take it. Like sometimes it clashes with beliefs on some, others you can agree with, and some are just like way out there. It's like I don't know where to think about that. But specifically, just to start the conversation today and see where it leads to, we're going to talk about the change of our thoughts. That when we change our thoughts and change our emotions consistently, that it rewires and starts to change our brain and our body and our future that we're going to have. And it's that consistency that does it. Because most people in the world, they go from let's change what's outside first, change our environment. And then when our environments change, then we feel better. And when we feel better, then we think better. But Dr. Joe Dispenza says it differently. Let's start to think. Let's start inward. Think differently. And by thinking differently, then we're going to be feeling differently and feeling our emotions of what we're wanting for the future. And then our actions are going to reflect that. So it's kind of that reverse of most people go start outward. He says start inward. And anybody who's been in self-growth for any good amount of time knows starting inward is the place to start. So as I open this discussion, John, Ian, we started a new book. Tell us your thoughts about it.
Well, I'm excited. One, it's a new book. Two, this book's giving me the vibes of Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. And the reason is because it has multiple layers of studies and not just evidences, but occurrences where they tested and provided some examples. And this book is deeply rooted in a alternative belief system, which makes it interesting. And we were just talking in the green room before we jumped into this, that it's a bit controversial to probably some religious or even just some natural belief systems, which is pretty exciting. I love how he opens the book and it literally says, this book could get me in trouble with my community, because he is a scientist. He is a neuro expert. I forget. He's a doctor, so there's something there. I got to look into that before I just start quoting stuff. But also, I've had the privilege of meeting Dr. Joe Dispenza once, and I actually will have the privilege of meeting him in just a few weeks again at an event that I've been to multiple times each year, or over the past few years, called I think it's called Secret Knock. And again, this is such an interesting book for me because it goes into several realms that I'm a novice yet baby base layer to. And I'll start with this. Two quick examples. Number one is sports analogies. Easy to accept, easy to understand, and easy to say, yeah. There's a chant when your team is down by 1 and it's up to them to shoot the free throw line. There's a chant that the audience, the people in the stands immediately turn to, and it's the chant that I believe that we can win. I believe that we can win. And you've heard that, and you've seen the kids in high schools, they all bounce around and they just start chanting it louder and louder and louder. It's an affirmation that changes the environment. It's belief. It's putting faith into the players. And, does that work every single time? It does not work every single time, but can it help? Absolutely. And that's a great example of what it takes to change your environment, to change your thoughts on the exact status of where you're at right now, and leaning into the energy that I can change the outcome of this game. And then my second example is, I tell this story embarrassingly because it looks poorly on me, is have you guys ever been to a hot yoga class? Nod your head if you have. No? Okay. If you're like me and you like to, well, you don't like to, it's just your body naturally perspires a lot. Hot yoga is a bad environment because I sweat a lot, and it's like an 85-degree room, closed room, no breezes. And then you're also doing physical activity, which is, oh man, it's so hard. Yoga is not for it's not easy, but it's also really good for you. So doing yoga is really important. So I go to this hot yoga class and I'm dripping sweat. And now all of a sudden my sweat starts to puddle up on my mat. And then they get us into this position where you're putting a lot of weight on your arms and your hands and less weight on your feet. And I'm not really skilled in that position. And all of a sudden, I put just enough pressure on my hand where it literally slips because of the anti-friction of my mat and my sweat on my mat. So my arm slips, and guess what John does? He collapses into his own puddle of sweat, which sprays the person to the right and the person to the left and the person in front of him. And it just goes, and I spray people with my own sweat while we're doing this yoga activity. And what does John do? He gets up, he rolls his mat out, and he walks out the door. Because what the heck am I going to keep going from this? Anyways, I tell you this story because yoga is hard. But one of the beautiful things I love about yoga is that it taught me some incredible things like environment and ability and cognitive thinking and can I do this? But it also goes into the spiritual realm of thinking about more about our bodies than just what science teaches us. There is this idea that the body was built with multiple chakras, down to the sacrum, all the way up to the cranium. And it's really interesting. And so in order to kind of get behind what Joe's talking about in this book, which I'm excited about, you kind of have to like go to, chakras and yoga 101 class to kind of like, to kind of level up with it. And the same thing with the sports stories. That's what Malcolm Gladwell did. All right, my monologue is over, guys. I took a little bit on that. I just got excited, but I kind of wanted to paint the picture and present it in this way because I am excited about the content. I've never read this book, and I've met the dude, but I don't know what I'm really getting myself into because it could be a lot. But what are your thoughts? And I want to stay on the topic of what you said, really, change your thoughts in your environment. But I also wanted to kind of preface it as, hey, check this out. This is what it could be about and what it couldn't be about.
Hey, check this out. I do hot yoga. That's
and I've never done it since.
I'm in the green room before we came to the conclusion that I'm the contrarian one, especially when it comes to this book. So to start out, I have never done hot yoga, but I am a huge fan of frozen yogurt. So I'm partway there, but on the opposite end of that spectrum. So looking through this book, I'm like 80 to 90% right behind this book. But then to me, there's a illogical leap to a next section. And that has to do with how I was raised and some of my belief systems. And yes, I'm the guy he talks about in the beginning. But so stay tuned to later episodes. We'll get into that more. But to start out, I'm right behind what Willie said at the beginning. The world teaches us that if we get this car and drive it on this windy road through the mountains, we will feel bliss and peace and happiness and all of that. If we have this set of headphones, then we will feel confident and cool and we will get the girl. Changing, if only I had X, Y, or Z, then I would be A, B, or C. And all of us who delve into personal development know that that's just a load of malarkey. It's changing yourself on the inside. It's changing how you perceive things around you, not how things around you change you as a being. And I love this part of the book, that if we can look into ourselves, we can change our perspective on what's around us. And that changes our whole life. Every part of us can change, and we can be in control of that because we are in control of our brain. Our brain, I think he mentions this, you have to think of your brain as something different from yourself. And you can change your brain, change how you think, change how you look at different things. And that's going to change your perspective on life. It's going to change your abilities. And I love that side of it. He gets into a lot of the scientific background. So I'm excited to delve deeper into that because in the end, we are in control of our lives. And I think that's if I were to put one sentence, it just came to my mind now. One sentence to describe this whole book is we are in control of our lives and we can drive our life, our brain, our mind the way we want to. So that's my thought on this book.
Yeah, well said. John, did you have something?
I was just going to jump in real quick, and then I'll pass it over to you, Willie. I love that, Ian, because, if you're listening to this podcast and you're kind of spiraling, you feel like you're not in control, this is a great discussion. I'm not just promoting the book. I'm just going to promote our podcast for a second and say this is a great environment to come in and just let go. Like literally, you can have control of your thoughts, and those new thoughts can have incredible outcomes if you allow them to. So this is a beautiful discussion, and we are not psychologists or therapists or licensed in any degree to be able to morph your ability to be a more positive person, but we just have an attractive magnetism to the idea of positive thinking, and that allows us to have much better thoughts. And so if you're listening to this and you really could use an upper, something that really helps you, this is a great place to be. So stick around, buckle up. In my favorite words, permanecer sentados, por favor, which is what they say at the end of the roller coaster at Disneyland. It means remain seated, please. Or what I like to say is buckle up, buttercup, because we got some positivity coming your way. All right, back to you, Willie.
That sounds like that would be a lot better to hear if they say buckle up, buttercup in Spanish. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know how it sounds. Maybe it sounds atrocious, but that'd be really funny.
Permanecer sentados, buttercup.
Buttercup, and I look and I'm like, do I stay in? Do I get out? Here's an example came to my mind of the way in which we think, and that there is as much evidence as something. So a car cut you off in traffic. There's as much evidence as them cutting you in traffic and them doing it intentionally. It's the same evidence as them doing it by accident. And so we get to choose what real plays in our head. Because let's just say I like this example because many people go through traffic, especially in the U.S., that you're cut off in traffic. Most of the time, I'm included, is we get upset and be like, man, these guys are jerks. They're the ones who speed past everybody. They're the ones that go 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. They don't care about anybody else on the road. They got the nice cars and they wash them every weekend. And it's just like they care less. And like I start playing this narrative in my head. But what is the actual reality? Well, they could be rushing to the hospital to take care of somebody. Or maybe they're rushing home to be able to tell their wife about a promotion that happened, but their phone died and they forgot the charger that day. Or maybe they did cut you off. Or maybe they're just being nice and they let the car that was in front of them go, but now it's their turn. So they're just like, I need to go or else I'm just going to hold up the traffic behind me. There is equal evidence along all the fronts. So we get to choose the narrative that goes into our head. And if anybody knows anything about anger and frustration, is that it is a toxic thing only for us. Because besides the horn that you might lay on for the person in front of you, and they're just like, they just go away, how you feel after you lay on that horn, they don't care about, nor do they know about. It is all on you. So those next 5-10 minutes, that next hour that you continue to think about that is just negatively affecting you. Or you could be like, yeah, they could be rushing the hospital, and then go back to the music you're listening to or the audiobook that you're listening to or the person you're talking to in the car, right? And you get back to your life. So it's just like there's so much of these, there's like this equal line of evidences when things happen to us. Traffic was just one example, that really, when it comes down to it, we just get to choose. We just get to choose the way we think. And how we think leads to the words that we say. The words that we say lead to our habits. And those habits lead to who we are as our character. And then our character determines our destiny. So it's amazing that a single thought eventually gets to control our destiny.
Oh, man, I love that. I think you're right. There is a dominoes, right? There's kind of a chain of command, and it all stems from, your thoughts. And there's a quote in the book that I wrote down here by Joe Dispenza. He says, if you can't get beyond your stresses, your problems, and your pain, then you can't create a new future where those things don't exist. And I mean, that's oh man, that cuts to the core. I mean, think about this. Ian, you brought up frozen yogurt earlier, so that's all I can think about right now.
Sorry.
There are very few people in this world, and when you do know them because they are not fun to be around, and they can ruin a good thing. Like I'll be when you get that fresh new that bowl or cone of frozen yogurt, or you go to your favorite ice cream parlor and you get that nice ice cream sundae or whatever it is, right? Painting that picture. Nothing is better than that moment right there. Like, those are the things that create core memories, because sugar, oh gosh, what that does to the brain, that's a whole other book. But really you're transformed into a moment of, wow, this is pure pleasure. This is pure enjoyment. And there are very few people in this world, and we know them, that can ruin that. They can bring up negative conversations, or they can complain about things, and they can make this such a beautiful thing so not so beautiful. And if you think about that, like, that is, in my mind, what you're saying, Willie, and also just like backing this up. Like, if you live in a world where your stresses, your problems, your pains are just, you just can't escape those, then you really don't have a path to create a future where those don't exist too. You're carrying those with you. And sometimes in the world of tangibilizing, I'm making a word up, creating an existence for what is in your belief systems, we call that baggage, right? We're carrying around bad baggage. And how heavy is your baggage? And are you able to just let go? And are you able to move down a path that creates a better outcome? This is where, like, really changing your thoughts, aligning with the moment of joy and satisfaction and pure enjoyment where you're eating that ice cream cone. That's a path and an attitude worth pursuing. But if you're holding on to, the luggage that's dragging you down, then, that path is not really existing without the negative. Now, I'm not saying completely eliminate, things in your life that aren't negative. They're always going to be friction. I mean, that's how we grow. But on the side of looking forward, you truly can change your life, your outcomes, your thoughts, everything, just by changing your attitudes. And then one more quote I'll share is that the only way we can change our lives is to change our energy, to change the electromagnetic field. We are constantly broadcasting. That's cool because we are communicators. We are sending signals. So what kind of signals are you sending? Are you sending good vibes and I'm really enjoying this ice cream cone? Or are you sending interesting vibes that are going to rock other people's frequencies? And that's what I think it comes down to is you got to remind yourself that you're a broadcasting station for communication and frequencies. So what kind of frequency is it?
Definitely. There's, I'm trying to put this into words now because, again, I'm the contrarian one. And as soon as you say frequencies, I say, well, there's, I believe that we are capable of comprehending or understanding or feeling a range of things around us. And our brain has to interpret those things in different ways. And whether it's frequency or we recognize subconsciously a facial expression or something, that changes us. But that's not what I wanted to say. So here's what I wanted to say. How we react to these. And I believe it's Norman Vincent Peale who was, correct me if I'm wrong there, but the only thing that you have any control of is your attitude, your mental attitude. Everything else is out of your control except for your personal mental attitude. And I really like the way Willie was going with when you're driving and cut off. And I'm going to expand on that a little bit with an analogy I use a lot. If the three of us have to run a mile, okay, now John is our athlete. So John is now in the decathlon in the Olympics about to run a mile. And think about your attitude starting that mile. Now, I am in a prison camp and there's a guard with a gun behind me forcing me to run a mile. And Willie is home with his kids and one of them is sick and he has to get to the store to get medicine to save his child's life. And he has to run a mile. So each of us have to run a mile. We're all doing the same thing, right? Not at all. And it's not as much the circumstance behind it, but think about the attitude each of us have as we have to run that mile. John is in there for glory. He is excited. He is pumped. I am in the most miserable situation possible, thinking of anything I can to do to get out of this, and so negative. And Willie is halfway there in bare feet because he didn't even stop to put on shoes because he is so focused on that most important thing in his life. So what's happening around us is irrelevant. What we're doing is irrelevant. But the attitude that we have when we do that makes all the difference. And that translates to it, simple going to work in the morning. Are you going there because it's the drudgery you have to do? Are you going there because you're providing for your loved ones and giving them the things that they need? It's the same action, but as we change our attitude, our mental outlook on it, it completely changes what we're doing. And it changes our whole life just by understanding we're in control of that motivation ourselves. So I'll pass it on with that point.
I know that.
Go ahead, Willie.
No, John, please. I'm still processing that freaking bomb drop that Ian just did. Please go ahead.
I'm still thinking about the race, and Ian, you knew us so well. At least I felt like you knew me. I'm definitely in it to just bask in its glory. Like I still have a goal as a human that I want to be one of the oldest human beings to run the 4-minute mile. Like I'm holding off until I'm like, okay, it's time to start training, like for that goal. but
wait till the right moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why am I programmed? Like what makes that even a goal of somebody's? It just sounds painful to most, but I love that example. So for me, it's an interesting thing because it just shows you how personal our lives really are. I truly will never understand what Ian and what Willie are thinking right in this moment as they're sitting in their chairs, processing and preparing to share in front of this camera to the world what it is they want to do. I don't know what it's like to be them. I only know what it's like to be me. That's where my world, my universe is only relevant to me because that's what I see. And because that's all I'm in control of, and it's because all that I have, it's truly up to me. And the book is called Becoming Supernatural. And I can't help but think of another book that we once read that is essentially uh, um, the way we see ourselves behind the scenes. We're basically our own inner superhumans. We're our own superheroes. I'm always forgetting the title of that book, but I love the idea that our undisclosed identities, but our thoughts of ourselves. When you look in the mirror, do you see a cape or do you see a ball and chain? And I think of that and I think, okay, it's becoming supernatural. In that case, how do I call upon the powers of earth, nature, love, and God's given powers to humans? Like I want to be able to access that. And so it's a very, very interesting way of looking at this from a perspective of I am only capable of what I am believing myself to be capable of. But my interest may not be running a mile. My interest might be, something else. It might be, giving endless funds and provisions to charities or whatever it might be. It just depends on your world, your belief systems, your interests. And while I probably look like the crazy one who's like, yeah, let's go, let's do it, let's run a mile together, let's FaceTime all three of us while we go run a mile, and you guys would be like, John, you're crazy. Let's do something different. And I love that. I love the differences in humanity. But at the same, I guess if you really just like boil it down to what it is that so we all have innate desires and they're so tied deeply to something that we care about or something that really means a lot to us. And I might run for different reasons. You might run for different reasons. You might be forced to run for different reasons, Ian. And I think that's awesome. I really think you brought up like you were saying, Willie, like I started to go deep into this rabbit hole thinking, wow, like the thought process. And that's what we'll probably get into in episodes 2 or 3 is let's talk more about the brain and how it operates and why we think the way we think, but and how we can alter it. Right. But this is kind of an interesting discussion because it really does bring into existence this idea that, the change has a lot to do with our thoughts and our environment.
Ian, what you said still has me stumped. I think back to when I've worked at Walmart twice, two separate times, same department, literally same store, because we moved out of states and then back into state and went back to it. The first time felt miserable, that I was just there to get a paycheck, just there and didn't really enjoy the people around. But the second time was after I started the whole thing of me learning about what a business was, starting to read self-development books, figuring out what personal growth is. And I went back to it and I felt different. It was the same Walmart, literally, same department. However, my attitude was flipped because I was there to be able to, one, provide for my family, because we just had a baby girl. And then the second one was to help other people there to have a better life rather than just like showing up like I did before. Just feel different, to have a friend that we can talk about other things than just the negative that happens there. And so you are 100% right. That second time that I went there, nothing changed on the outside, but everything changed on the inside. And that in itself made my performance there 3-4 times better than it was the very first time. So it really comes down to that. What's on the inside. The reason why you do it could be your why, the passion, the force in which you're able to make things happen. But taking that from the inside, then making your outside, the way that you act in accordance to how you want to be in the future, that's how we get results. That's how we do things in 90 days. That's how we achieve what we want. John, Ian, final thoughts as we wrap this up.
I've spoke a lot today, but I just wanted to just end with this is an invitation to just think differently. Like, we're not telling you or saying you should or shouldn't do anything. We're just telling you, here's an opportunity to look at life from a different lens. You are probably used to the lenses that you are consistently looking at the world. And here's a just friendly and safe environment and invitation to say, hey, what if I can look at this from a different perspective? What if I could change my view and look at the brain, look how it operates, look at belief systems, and look how potentially this could work for me? Or maybe it's still a bunch of just fluff and hot air and nasty yoga rooms that might just be another alternative option. But I truly invite you to take a look at this as just an opportunity to think differently. And when you do, and if you see it, and if you allow it to be something that could provide you a new perspective, then truly you'll find, another thing you can learn, something that you can deepen the notches on your hatchet and really realize, wow, okay, there are other things out there that can broaden my beliefs and expand my abilities. And that's just an invitation.
I love that. And that's kind of how I look at this too. As I said, I'm the contrarian with this book, and a lot of it I really love and totally agree with, and I'm learning from. And there's a few things that I just don't quite align with myself yet. But all of these things are tools in our toolbox. And, some of these things are a different Allen wrench that now can unlock a new piece of IKEA furniture for me. Sorry, I didn't have a good analogy when I started that one. Some of these are tools that I think are worthless and not going to use. And if I were smarter and more open-minded, I probably would gain from them. Other ones I'm going to apply. And as we go through, I think especially this book, some things like, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is pretty straightforward, not very controversial. But as we learn to look at a new perspective, and we take the things that we feel we can use now and apply those and see how that changes. And maybe there's more tools in this. Some of them work, some of them don't. And I think that's part of personal development. I simplify everything, and I'm going to use the analogy of a diet. Doesn't matter what diet plan you go on. If you follow any relatively healthy diet plan, you're going to lose weight. And some are going to be more effective for one person, some more effective for another person because of a huge variety of things. And that's how I look at this book. There's a huge number of tools and ideas and concepts. Some expand my understanding, some put some blocks in my understanding. But I grow from all of those. And I encourage people as they read this book and listen to our discussions, what can help me? What can I take and grow from? And if something doesn't make sense, it doesn't mean the rest of it's malarkey. It just means that you're in one place and that's where you're supposed to be. And I'm in another place, and Willie's in another place, and John's in another place. And we're all learning together with the ones that help us the best. So.
And with that, wraps up this episode of Champion Reads. If you found inspiration in it, go ahead and go blah, blah, blah. Goodness gracious, messed up that word. We're live right here. So go subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcasting platform, as well as go to our website, mychampionscircle.com, where it'll have the link to the podcast, link to our socials, and everything else going in the Champions universe. Until next time, champions, continue to be the best version that you can. Continue to think and work inward to then work and be outward. And always remember that it all starts with our thoughts, and our thoughts can turn into our destiny. We'll see you on the next episode of Champion Reads.